This meeting is being recorded.
Indeed it is, and you know what that means. We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. I'm your man behind them. We are welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling show, where we're getting thrown off by announcers from the deepest recesses of the internet and our computers. This is episode 444. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week is the OG Undisputed Scholar and the current reigning and soon to be defending Scholars of Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. He is Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how is everything going with you, sir?
I have Goldie on my shoulder for right now, so everything is very great, and I cannot wait to defend this beautiful belt next week against our new other co-host that you're going to be introducing soon, so I'll let you do that. And my undisputed scholar brother, Scholar Brian, which cannot join us this week because, food sucks sometimes.
Bad pizza will get anybody.
Yes, that's very true. From experience, yeah, I can concur.
Well, as previously alluded to, also joining us this week, he is the Scholars in the Bank beef case holder, waiting in the wings. He is Scholar Charlie. Scholar Charlie, how's life treating you, sir?
It has been a long week, but a week of anticipation for this and my upcoming weekend, and I'm excited to get this show started.
Yes, we're only a few days away from Halloween. There's a lot to look forward to in the very near future. But for right now, we got a week of wrestling to get into, starting with what, for me anyway, is probably the most unexpected news story coming out of this week. Out of a major show from Impact Wrestling, towards the end of the night, we got a surprise announcement that they are rebranding back to TNA. Total Nonstop Action, for all intents and purposes, is back. And I didn't expect this coming, but I gotta say, I am pleasantly surprised and, dare I say it, more excited about what's going on with Impact / TNA than I have in probably about a decade.
Indeed, actually, when you really think about it, when you discuss Impact Wrestling for any intents and purposes, you always want to just go and just call it TNA, because for most of us that grew up when in its prime, it was TNA wrestling.
Yep.
And I actually think it is a great idea, a much more profitable idea to go back to TNA wrestling, because when you really think about it, yeah, in the 2000s, it was one of the most entertaining things to watch pro wrestling wise. So why not take advantage of that and just revert back to total nonstop action?
Couldn't agree with you more.
The question now is, are they going to bring back the six-sided ring? I personally don't want them to do that.
That was one thing they did say pretty much right out of the gates. We're not bringing back the six-sided ring because apparently it was kind of difficult for a good chunk of the talent to work around. Or I even heard something about it caused more injuries than it needed to, but I don't even know if that one's true or not.
It's understandable that that could be the case. And with the news going around of CM Punk possibly joining Impact / TNA, I actually think that would just work wonders for the brand as well, and may also bring in the mainstream media, new audience in, and possibly bring it back to like the status where it was close to that, to where Brian and I discussed it earlier. This could be, with AEW and WWE, this could be the new WWF, WCW, ECW type of
Wow.
brand warfare. And really thinking about it, yeah, that would actually be a fun idea. And just once again, expanding the options for us professional wrestling fans.
I gotta say, that's a very interesting thought. Although I am very curious to see what TNA does now in this new era. I'm very hesitant to make that same exact comparison. First and foremost, because while TNA's in-ring product has undoubtedly improved leaps and bounds over the past several years, one thing that ECW had in the day was their product was more cutting edge. Yes, they had the good wrestling and all that, but for its time, it was also very cutting edge. It was edgy at a time where edgy was cool. Now, I feel like all they've got is just a variant of what AEW is doing, if that makes sense. Like they're not if this was say GCW that's doing a little bit more of that modern edgy flavor to it, I'd say maybe you got something. But TNA just had, as of right now, just has really damn good solid wrestling. I feel like that's, in my opinion, that's just not quite enough to put it over the top.
It's
Okay.
really just the discussion on, like, if CM Punk joins it, it'll bring that mainstream to, like, that bring the mainstream attention to TNA to a point where, okay, let's see who's in this, who is the top stars. Like, uh Gail Kim's still there, right?
I thought Gail Kim retired.
Hey, if anything, it'll just show that it'll just teach us what the product currently has for people like me who haven't been really focusing on Impact Wrestling for quite a while. It's just that now it'll just bring more attention to the brand than
Yeah,
anything, to the point where
I'll
it's
be
now it'll
honest
be
with
the
you.
number 3, like over NWA or what Tony Khan was trying to do with Ring of Honor.
Regardless of where it falls, it's a damn good time to be a wrestling fan.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure. Plus, like I know very little about modern TNA right now, but one thing I do know is that the Madmen rehired PCO to a whole new contract. So I love that. I love that crazy guy. Like I love unique talent that they can showcase and make their own. And in the case of TNA, this is something new and different that they can present on a big stage. Guys like PCO, guys who are damn good wrestlers, but who may not have had the same level of showcasing that they would have elsewhere. Like a recent TNA champion or Impact champion, whatever you want to call him now, Josh Alexander. He's been making a big name for himself. He's one of the few names that I know in TNA. But outside of that, like I'm looking, I guess this is the refresher they need in terms of image. But at the same time, I'm also very curious to see now that they turned some heads and they got some more eyes on them, will they be able to knock it out of the park? That's my question. And if so, how?
And I'm actually, like, I was looking up right now. I'm just like, another good face that will actually help bring like the more internet crowd, the more people who are more in touch with it. Like CM Punk would bring the mainstream audience, and then you have someone like Matt Cardona to bring all the hardcore fans from the internet wrestling community in. That'll just help build up or rebuild uh TNA to almost where it was in the early 2000s before Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff showed up and literally almost killed it.
Hmm.
That is an interesting point, though, that you bring up. Like, I feel like in terms of what I'm talking about, that whole unique voice, CM Punk speaks for himself,
Hmm.
for better or for worse. Like if CM Punk were to actually join this, which personally I've got my doubts about. I'm a little skeptical that he's gonna be actually go to TN that is any chance of going to TNA. But that being said, I I'm kind of find myself curious if Matt Cardona could possibly join TNA. Because
I
when
think he
I'm
would.
thinking about about a new, fresh voice, something new and fresh and relevant that really can make TNA exciting, like close to that same level that it used to be on, Matt Cardona, I think, is it. But I'm just wondering, how likely is it that they're going to get him?
I mean, from what I saw here, he returned for Bound for Glory
Yeah,
on the 21st.
Yes, he did.
Maybe that
That
is just the way to bring him back as a full-time guy there and make some kind of deal with GCW, since I know that's where he likes to wrestle.
Yeah. Again, it seems like until we get something more concrete and confirmed from the man himself, I'm more of the understand that excuse me, that Matt Cardona is almost like a Kota Ibushi at this point, where
Doesn't
there's
show up
not
anywhere.
any, yeah, he doesn't have any one major company that he can call home. If GCW's momentum has petered out around the time of their big Hammerstein Ballroom show, for a while there, I thought that they were going to be the big exciting new number 3, but that just fizzled out horribly. If TNA could possibly be that big third brand, I'm wondering, will TNA becoming that big third brand be enough to attract Matt Cardona, or will Matt Cardona be that thing that turn it into the big exciting third brand?
I think he
Like,
has the potential, especially since he's left WWE.
but what do you think
He
is more likely, given what we know of TNA and Matt Cardona's preferences? What do you think will happen first?
I think he could go there.
I think the chances of him actually going there to be one of the big front runners of the company, absolutely, because it just continues to show with ever since he's left WWE, he's more than capable of actually being a face of the company. And it's not saying that he can't go to other promotions. That's it'll be something similar to what AEW does with their talent. Have them go, they can go show up in any other place for appearances, and then you have Matt Cardona being and because I actually see CM Punk joining TNA a lot more than him going back to WWE and or AEW. And I actually think he can actually go and just make the show with what he wanted Collision to originally be, since that was supposed to be his show in AEW.
Yeah, I find it very interesting that all of the quote unquote third brands are coming out of the woodwork to talk to CM Punk now.
Well, because the other two brands don't want anything to do with him because they
Yeah,
saw what he's just
capable of.
show that even he says he's going to try and to be a better person. He just show he still has those tendencies, as he puts it, like the older days. But I just have to argue, it's like, just live in the now.
Speaking of living in the now, I find it funny that Billy Corgan, of all people, flat out said in an interview recently, like, "Hey, Punk, yeah, you're not gonna. not gonna lie to you. You're not gonna make every dime that you're worth in NWA. But damn it, if we want to talk, we can have some fun together. Like,
Nice.
they know that it's not gonna be all about the money, but damn it, bless their hearts, they're trying.
You know who I would love? Maybe this is just for the show, but I would love to see Aaron Stevens show up.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that.
Bring that genius managerial uh skills that he's been showing. Just bring it to TNA and be another one of the big draws of it.
As long as he doesn't try and bring back that dumbass Liberace gimmick, I think we're gonna be just fine.
I think that's long gone.
I certainly hope so, but hey,
We still
who
love
knows?
urine.
We don't know what this current era of TNA is going to look like, even though our hopes are high. But hey, we'll be watching and we wish you nothing but the best. But speaking about nothing but the best, we have had Ric Flair this week pop up in a very unexpected place. He popped up in AEW for Sting.
Yep.
Happy. It's like, here we go. Here's a gift for you. It's Ric Flair. And then you just
Now,
think, do I get to keep him? No. Do I get to take him home with me? No. It's not that kind of gift, man. Let's get out of here.
I was talking to a buddy about this, and unless they're going to have Flair turn on Sting, there's no point in this even happening.
Well, the point of it happening is for the ratings, which makes sense. But as long as Flair doesn't actually step foot in the ring, let him be a manager for one of their big stars. Give him that nature boy rub. If it's Andrade, if it's for, let's see, who could fit with Ric Flair as their manager other than Andrade? Okay, I guess this could be a Scholar's Quick Talk. If Ric
That is a good question.
Since we're the word is we have Ric Flair until March.
Yep.
Ooh, excuse me. Who would you want to see him be the manager for?
Honestly, he's going to stick around with Sting, and like you said, Andrade is fits like a glove. It's his father-in-law, so
I feel like Andrade is certainly not a bad choice by any means, but I also feel like it's the most obvious one. If I have to think about it, I'd say we're probably going to want to attach Ric Flair to someone up and coming, someone that they've got a lot of hope and focus on, someone they really want to build up. I'm trying to think about who that might be. I'm just trying to think over the names in AEW right now who could really use the benefit of that Ric Flair rub, so to speak.
That's actually a very good. It's a very interesting thought, isn't it? Let's see.
He certainly doesn't need the mouthpiece, but I'm thinking that maybe someone like Miro could sort of bring him back. No,
that would be an odd couple.
No, I got it. I got the guy.
Go for
Wardlow.
Wardlow
needs the help more than anybody right now.
Okay.
I know they definitely want to make him a thing, but right now Wardlow on his own is sinking horribly, and I'm very
honestly
unimpressed. He needs something.
Well, actually, okay. With that being said, I feel like the only person who could actually match up the flair for Ric Flair is probably someone like Ricky Starks, but I don't think he needs it. But that's another interesting couple to see. But when it comes to Wardlow, I actually do think he after this week he has found that thing that's been missing for him, and that's something to aim towards, and that's him going after MJF, which in all honesty is perfect for him because it gives him something to do. It actually makes sense with the motivation. He has the story on explaining why going after MJF is such a good idea, because when he was at his highest, and he had his match with scheduled for MJF, even though he won, MJF's backstage controversy is what took all the momentum that Wardlow had and just ruined him. So it gives him the full dimension on what a full dimensional character that is driving him now. And
Okay.
the one, like, he's now a part of this MJF universe that actually is one of the, if not the most intriguing story going on with All Elite Wrestling, which
Definitely.
is it's should be a good thing because he's the world champion. He should be the big story of your brand. And considering he has so many characters in his storyline, from Adam Cole to the Kingdom to Bullet Club Gold to the Acclaimed to now Wardlow to Samoa Joe to now Kenny Omega. He has so many different characters involved in his story. It is such actually just intriguing aspect because you have the ghosts of his past coming back to haunt him with Wardlow and Samoa Joe, and the current story that he has with an injured Adam Cole, and now you have Roderick Strong trying to be friends with him. You have Jay White and Bullet Club Gold taking the title away from him. So now all he has to really show that he's still the Ring of Honor, one half of the Ring of Honor tag team champions.
And the best part about it is he can juggle all of it.
Exactly. He's juggling all of it, and he's juggling all of it with one hand.
Yeah.
It is such complex storytelling that it is bringing everyone in, and it's making all the people involved just look amazing. It makes the brand as a whole not just separate stories. Instead, it's all connecting to the world champion, and I just think it's doing wonders for this. It's actually resparking some intrigue back to All Elite Wrestling that's been missing for the last year since WWE has become such a hot product again.
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of thing that you want to see. Something different, something that sets out the competition from the pack. And I personally love what they're doing, what they're doing with MJF right now, because like you said, we don't know what direction they're going to go. There's not like just one or even two major contenders for the title in AEW right now.
Yeah,
It can come from any number of ways, and
it's like 4 now.
yeah, and if they do have Ric Flair until March, maybe they could put him to work. Maybe they could inject him into this. Maybe give some verbal sparring with the MJF. I'm sure that would be gold.
That would be gold. And hell, I mean, look at what we're getting tomorrow. For the first time ever, we're getting Kenny Omega versus MJF.
Yup.
Oh my God. Yes. Both guys who have been in this company since day one, and almost 4 years later, they're getting their first one-on-one.
I'll be out tomorrow night, but I have that set on DVR.
That's going to be a great. That's going to bring some eyes to your show. And yes,
Definitely.
please.
It almost, if I didn't know AEW as well as I do, I'd almost say it almost seems too good to be true.
I mean,
like there's got to be a catch.
We know how this match is going to end. If anything, we're probably going to get Bullet Club Black and Gold interfered. This match is not ending clean.
No.
Like we all know where they're going to go. And that's the thing with AEW when it comes to those controversial finishes, is that they do it so rarely that when it's done, it's actually done that's actually fitting to the story, where you're like, okay, well, we're going to get this match again in the future, and it's going to be on pay-per-view, and we're going to have that clean winner. This is just for this match is just for MJF to beat to surpass Omega's title reign.
Yeah.
Well, when you put it that way, it does make a lot more sense. And again, this is going to be DVR gold at this point.
Yeah,
but
very much so.
again, the hype is building all around, and AEW and TNA aren't the only ones. We do have some rather interesting things happening on WWE. Of course, we're going to be definitely addressing Crown Jewel next week. But for the time being, we got a rather interesting bit of news, I guess you'd call it. That apparently Roman is currently not booked for Survivor Series at the moment.
In
Roman
all
Reigns of all people.
in all honesty, it's kind of a relief because since Monday, they were hinting at the possibility of having this year's Survivor Series be brand supremacy. They're even hinting at that with Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce's interactions
Yeah.
backstage and on the shows. So with Roman not being there, we're pretty much guaranteed we're not going to get a Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns champion versus champion, which, like I said, is quite a relief because I don't want brand supremacy like those type. The only way I will actually accept brand supremacy storyline in for Survivor Series is I know they're wanting to have the War Games match.
War Games.
War Games.
War Games.
So with that, you can have the War Games, but have it be storyline driven, which it looks like they're going for with Judgment Day versus Cody, Jay, Sammy, and I would say Kevin Owens, but he's moved to SmackDown, so I don't know if that's gonna work. But pretty much Judgment Day is gonna be on one side of the ring. If you're gonna want to do the whole brand supremacy nonsense that they are doing, have it be a traditional Survivor Series match with your mid card guys. Have that be like your opening match. Give some of your mid card guys a paycheck. I know since Triple H likes to have like five match pay-per-view card, have the main event be War Games and have like your opening match be a traditional Survivor Series if you want to have the brand supremacy.
Okay.
Like I would like to see like Chad Gable, Otis, Bronson Reed. Let's see, 5. That's 3.
Love Reed.
Let's see who
It is interesting. I gotta say, I truly did not think of that they were going to go to that brand supremacy thing at all. I still don't. But I do think you're right that if they did have Roman there, they were probably going to be inclined to have a title versus title. But if they're not going, if Roman is, that's probably a good reason why he's not booked. And I'm instantly relieved that they're not going to do that.
Yeah, it takes that fear away. I mean, if anything, like if War Games is going to close the show, like it gives whoever the world champion is, because I've been saying it for like ever since his title reign started. I'm like, okay, I don't want Seth to be champion anymore. I'm done with Seth's world title reign. I'm rooting for Drew.
Champion. I'm sorry.
Huh?
I dig Seth Rollins as champion. I'm sorry.
I don't. His championship his championship reign is getting boring to me. I'm always rooting against him. I'm like, give it to Finn. Give it to Shinsuke. Hell,
well, yeah. If it came down to Finn and Seth forever, I'd want Finn to eventually win it. But
now at that point, it's not like this is the most intriguing world heavyweight title match for Crown Jewel against Drew McIntyre, because it actually feels like Seth could possibly lose. The one real crutch that's been going on with Seth's title reign is that that he's going to win when he's facing Finn Balor or Shinsuke Nakamura. As much as we want to see both guys win the world title at least once before they decide to hang the boots.
Yeah.
But if there is anybody who deserves a world championship win in front of a live crowd, it's Drew McIntyre. I know there's the story that he's still negotiating his contract when it comes to money. Actually, yeah, when it comes to like his pay, but he is hands down the most intriguing character on Raw right now. And it's just because of his slowly told turn to him being a heel. I want him to win that title so bad because he beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship in front of 0 people.
Yeah.
He helped keep WWE going with a great title reign when there was no one there. He deserves a world championship and victory in front of all these people. And what better damn phone? What better way? What better way to say thank you, Drew, for all that you've done for our company
Then in
than
front of a huge
than to win a world championship in one of their in Crown Jewel, which they are pushing as a big event.
And you know what's funny? There,
But there's
I'm pulling for a Drew McIntyre victory here for a completely different reason. Just to set up the eventual matches in the next several months, including leading up to potentially WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre versus so many different people in a WrestleMania quality match, and having this be the thing that kicks off his well-deserved reign. The possibilities are, I don't want to say endless, but the possibilities are several.
yeah.
And I like them all, and that's enough for me to be totally behind this.
And it's also just if Seth wins this one, where the hell does he go from here? Like who can really go like besides Gunther
Gunther.
for a world championship story? But when it comes to Gunther, I'm hoping he holds the title for another 100 days, 120 days, because God damn it, I want him to surpass all like literally all the combined reigns of the Intercontinental champions. If he gets that on his single reign, he's already the greatest Intercontinental champion, period. But that will just basically be that final nail. That'll be that nice little cherry on top of the sweet, delicate Intercontinental Championship reign of Gunther.
I'm gonna put it out there right now, even though we've got quite a bit of time between this happening. With where everyone is on the card right now, I am very much gonna be keeping my eye more so than a long time on the Royal Rumble, because not only is that going to determine at least at least one of the world titles are going to be set up, most likely Roman Reigns and the Universal title, but it's also going to set up where everyone else is as well. Like your Gunther's, if he's still the champion by then, it'll determine, okay, if he's in the Rumble, is he going to be the challenger? If he is still the champion by then and he's not in the Rumble, who is he going to face at WrestleMania for the title? And so on and so forth.
All right, I've had my pick ever since last year. Who was winning the Rumble, and I'm sticking to it. But it just goes without saying, like what we're discussing now, with like the possibilities for all these different superstars, is that WWE is finally doing something they should have been doing years ago. But you had such an egotistical son of a bitch running the show. Is you have a whole list of talent, a whole list of people that you can build properly and have not just the brand to promote with one guy on top like a John Cena or a Roman Reigns, but you have a whole ensemble of characters that you can build to represent your brand. You have so many people, and that's just the big highlight that WWE has right now, is that they are building stars, because the WWE product is just boiling hot right now because of all these different characters that you have, and you are pushing them all to the point where it's not just there's not just like Roman signs or bloodline signs. You have your Sami Zayns, you have your Kevin Owens, you have your LA Knights, Cody Rhodes, uh Judgment Day,
Rhea Ripley,
Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, uh Jade Cargill. She's only been around for a couple of months and she's already presented as such a huge star. You have all the people, even like the people who are on NXT, Chad Gable, Bronson Reed, Gunther, so a whole list of all these characters, Seth Rollins. You have a whole list of these characters, and they all feel important to your show. They all feel important to your brand. That's what makes WWE flourish. That's something that Paul Levesque understands. That's something that Vince didn't understand for years, even when he wasn't a delusion, when he wasn't like a senile old man. They're not just just cartoon characters. They're not your your clean baby face, happy-go-lucky baby faces. They're not your foreign heels. They are three-dimensional characters. They're not being promoted for where they're coming from. They're just representing who they are. And it's just absolutely amazing television. It's amazing. It's now, when you look at all of wrestling with AEW, WWE, and now TNA going back to the TNA name, there's now so many different possibilities for all these wrestlers to actually make huge names for themselves, that even though we're still going to get that whole tribalism bullshit, the real wrestling fans could look at all of this and be like, oh my God, there are so many different entrees of different types of things that we can just consume and enjoy. And it just makes you think, okay, I am a pro wrestling fan, and I can hold my head up high saying I'm a wrestling fan.
Wow,
and
Tarek.
with that,
Amen.
I'd say that's probably the best way to wrap up this week's happenings and discussion of the Scholars of Wrestling show. But now, of course, is the time in the show where we turn it over to you, our fellow fans. Are you as hyped about TNA as we are? Is it just going to be more than a name change? What's Ric Flair going to do? What's in store for Roman at Crown Jewel and beyond? No matter what you think, we want to hear from you. So drop us a line all across the internet, Facebook posts, YouTube comments, all across social media, including the conversation on the Twitter machines. And with that, Tarek, where can they find you?
You can find me, keep calling it Twitter instead of X, at the Avatar.
And Scholar Charlie, where can he find you?
You can find me highly looking forward to Crown Jewel at Charlene.
We're saying that about a Saudi show. That's so wild.
And you can find me being ecstatic that it isn't a subclass show at this point at I'm Robbie Rage. And for all of these relevant social media links and more and much more, you can check us out at our link tree in this description below. That's linktree/Scholars of Wrestling. And with that mouthful out of the way, now is the time where we got to close out the show. But we're going to be back next week for some fresh predictions, because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
welcome.
See you all at Crown Jewel.